So let's see what a self-debrief looks like in action. We're going to go through 3 different examples. This is the first one, talking about a math test. In real life, obviously, you're not going to type out a big form, but this is an easy way to show you the thoughts. But you do, for something big, probably want to write it down. Like you can sit down with a piece of paper, write down your thoughts. It helps you brainstorm and come up with more ideas. If you just think it through in your head, if you're not really, really good at this, you're not going to come up with as many ideas and you're not going to think through it as deeply. So let's try this out. All right, so we just got a big math test back and you got a C on the test. You studied pretty hard for the test and you don't know why you didn't do better. All right, so you wanted to pass, you didn't, but you did study, so you're trying to figure out what went wrong. How can you make sure that you pass the test next time? This is probably pretty common, right? So we start off thinking about what went as planned and what went well. It helps to start by just thinking what was your goal in the first place. So in this case, our goal was to get a B or better on the test. So what went well is the things that helped you get towards that goal, right? So what helped me is I got all the 2-step equation problems correct, right? Like if it was just 2-step equation problems, I probably would have gotten an A. I got the first 2 graphs correct, so having those answered correctly got me closer to that B. And then we're thinking about the next part, which is what are the things you actually did to help that happen? Well, I didn't have to study much. Like I actually didn't study much for those kinds of problems that I got right because I was already doing well on them in class. All right, like I already kind of had it figured out. So then I want to think, okay, so why was that working in class? Well, in class, what did I do? Well, I worked with my group partners for those problems. Right, so I was working with groups. I got some partners that are really good. They helped explain it to me. Okay, so that's great. Now I've got some ideas of things I need to focus on. Okay, so it's working with my group partners actually helps. I didn't even study for the parts that helped me get closer. Okay, well, so then what did not go as planned? What could have gone better? Again, think about your goal. So what are the things that kept me from getting my goal? So I wanted to get a B, instead I got a C because I got a bunch of problems incorrect. All right, so in this case, I didn't get any of the word problems correct. I got a few of the graphing problems incorrect. So what led to that? Well, so I was studying hard for these, so that's a good thing. I spent 2 hours studying, but I also struggled with these types of problems in class. Okay, so that's good to know. Like I wasn't figuring them out in class, not getting the help I needed. For studying, I did practice problems from the book and checked my answers and redid them when I was incorrect. So I was working through them, practice. If I got it wrong, I went back to the back, checked my answers, and then tried it again. Something else that wasn't maybe as helpful is I didn't study until the night before the test because I was tired from soccer practice the rest of the week. All right, so I got pretty tired. I kept putting it off. So I only studied the night before the test, and maybe that was a problem. All right, so these are all these things that possibly led to these things not going well for me. So now I'm going to think about from those things, what can I change or improve on to do even better next time, right? So here I'm just listing all the thoughts I got. So I'm going to look at these things I came up with and come up with action steps that I could do that would address some of these things. So we noticed that our group mates were really helpful. The things I did with my group mates in class, those are the things I did well on the test. So for what I don't know, I can get help from my group mates after school or at other times before the test, right? Like I can ask for some extra help, especially on those types of problems that I'm struggling with. Right? I can study earlier in the week to find out what is difficult for me, right? So I waited until the night before. Maybe by then it was too late. I realized I was struggling with certain types of problems, but it was a little too late to get the help I needed. I could study for more hours during the week, right? I studied for 2 hours, which felt like a lot to me, but maybe that was it. Maybe if I had just studied more, I would have passed the test. But one of the problems is I didn't study because I was tired from practice. So maybe I can study in the morning before school so I'm not tired and that doesn't keep me from studying, right? Like it's maybe first thing in the morning I'm a little more alert so I can just get to it instead of at the end of a long day. And then another thing I could do is I could try a different way of studying instead of just doing practice problems. So maybe it's the way I was studying wasn't really helpful, so I can ask some friends or a teacher for advice on maybe a different way I could study to maybe better learn the material. So after that, you ended up, self-debrief is over. Once I have one specific thing I'm going to focus on, right? I could do all these things, and hopefully I will do all these things, but coming up with one really specific plan will help make sure at least I do one thing differently to give me a better chance of success next time. So in this case, I'm going to study and get help, probably and, not and get help from my group mates before or after school every day of the week to prepare for the next test. So I'm going to make sure my group mates are helping me. I'm studying with them and they're giving me help to catch up on those problems to prepare for the next test. I'm going to do it every day of the week during that test. I'm not just going to wait till the night before. All right, so that is my action step. If I do that, I'm pretty sure from what I just saw, I probably will do much better on the next test. I'll have a better chance of passing, and I'm going to reach that success I need. So that is one use of the self-debrief in terms of testing. And now if you look at the other videos, you can see some different ways self-debrief can help you come up with a good plan to help you figure things out for other situations.